The P-Flow D118 HD wall mount ultrasonic flow meter. The set includes the main flow transmitter, wall mounting hardware, coupling compound, and we add a spare tube of superlube grease, sensor mounting straps, and an SD card reader. Paperwork includes a written quick start guide, packing list, factory calibration certificate and test report, application sheet, and factory manual. And finally, both an upstream and downstream sensor and cables. Some other things you will need for the install include a 12 to 36 volt DC power supply, various size screwdrivers, and a tape measure. To begin the install, first open the left and right screw covers and unscrew all 4 of the corner screws. We have pointed out each of the screws which you should loosen. Now open the flow meter. It hinges on the left side. Now you can connect the wiring. In this example, we will just connect a 12 volt DC power supply and the upstream and downstream sensor cables, but there are various other connections for various inputs and outputs which you can refer to the manual for more information on. First, loosen off all of the screws of the terminals which you will add wires into. Then feed the power supply wires through a cable gland. Insert the positive and negative power wires. Then tighten down the screws for those wires. Now take the upstream sensor cable and observe that there are 3 wires. Loosen off the glands and remove any plugs blocking entry. Then insert this upstream cable into the second cable gland, as it's best aligned with the upside cable ports. Then you can take the downstream cable and do the same. Feed it through the cable gland next to it. Insert the wires into each of the ports, noting that the grey wire is for port marked E, red is positive, black is negative. Be sure that the upstream cable is wired to the UP ports and the downstream cable is wired to the DN ports. So we have inserted the wires on the upstream side first, and then inserted the wires to the downstream side. Now tighten all of the screws for these wires and ensure none of them are touching and the wires are tightly held. Now you can tighten down the cable glands. This will help prevent water and dust ingress. Use a wrench if required. Now you can connect the power. I have plugged in the DC power supply. The flow meter will turn on as soon as power is connected. Shut the hinged cover so you can access the keys and see the screen. Now you can begin setting parameters. First press the pipe diameter shortcut button. From here press up to highlight pipe material. Press enter and you can scroll a list of selectable materials. I have selected PVC. Next press down, then enter again. Now enter the pipe outer diameter, which I have entered 60 mm, then enter. Then press down to highlight wall thickness. Press enter, then type the pipe thickness, 2.3 mm in this case. Then enter to confirm. Inner diameter and outer perimeter will calculate themselves if you enter those 2 figures. Scroll down until you reach fluid type. Press enter and scroll the list for your fluid. In this case, I have selected water. Continue pressing down to go through the configuration steps. If you have a pipeliner, you can input the details here, or select none and 0 mm thickness. Sensor type should generally be set as the default C011 unless you have a different model or perhaps high temp sensors. Sensor mounting, we are using the most common and easy to use V method, but other methods are available and can be selected here. Now down one more time and you can see the required sensor spacing, 24.892 mm in this case. Take note of this to gap the flow sensors accordingly. With this distance in mind, prepare the sensor mounting area, clean or sand any dirt, rust, or paint to create bare pipework. In this case we have clean PVC. Now take the pipe straps and prepare them on the pipework, wrap them around the pipe and set up as much as possible to ease install of the sensors. You can set them so they are just a little bit wider than required, so the sensor just fits between the strap and the pipe. I am first installing the upstream sensor. Take some couplant and apply a blob on the sensor surface. Use enough to cover the brown oval once it's squished onto the pipe. Now, noting the flow direction, place the sensor onto the pipe and slide the strap over and tighten it down. It's suggested to mount the sensors on the side of the pipe as shown, to avoid sediment at the bottom and air bubbles at the top. Next, take the downstream sensor, checking the label and noting the flow direction. Add couplant and begin spacing the sensor on the pipe, remembering the total space needed between both sensors. Tighten down the pipe straps and start to align the sensors. Using a tape measure, I can make sure the sensors are accurately spaced, matching the required spacing which the meter had displayed. Make fine adjustments until properly spaced and tight. Ensure the sensors are aligned straight along the pipe. Double-check the spacing is correct, matching your meter, not the 24.89 mm of this example. If there is fluid flowing through the pipe, soon after everything is set up correctly, the meter should start measuring flow. But there are a few key values you need to check to ensure the meter is working properly. First, press the signal shortcut. You want signal to be as high as possible. Check these 3 values displayed. In general, these first 3 values should be 65 or higher for normal operation. Then further down there is TOS. This value shown is the transit time ratio. A normal expected ratio is 100% with 3% allowed variance. So between 97 and 103%. If any of these checks are out of range, it can indicate a problem with the application or installation. Please recheck parameters and installation, or check through the installation guide and manual to troubleshoot. Maybe there is a parameter incorrectly set or a problem like not enough straight pipe length causing flow turbulence, aeration, or too much suspended solids. Now you can press the rate shortcut to display the flow rate. You can also press the graph shortcut to show a graph alongside flow rate. Velocity button shows the flow velocity. And the totalizer button shows the total flow since last totalizer reset. If you want to change the flow units, press the unit shortcut. Press enter, scroll the list of units, then enter to select. You can then choose a time unit. In this example, I set it to cubic meters per minute. And you can also change the totalizer unit. Again, for example, I have set it to cubic meters. Now on the rate display, my units have changed as it was set. Also on the totalizer display, the unit has changed as it was set. If you want to reset the totalizer, press the setting key, scroll down to totalizer setup, then press enter. While highlighted on totalizer reset, press enter again. You can choose to reset all totalizers or just one at a time. Now we can see the totalizer reset back to 0 and is gradually increasing with flow. A useful place to check for any errors can be found in the diag shortcut. Here we have system normal shown. Now everything is working. You can double check all your cable glands are tight. Then screw the case closed. 4 screws total, 1 in each corner. You can also close the hinged screw covers. The meter has a wall mounting bracket. Just a single screw in the bottom secures it. Remove the screw to loosen the plate. Mount the plate to a wall or post as required, and you can then mount the flow meter back on the plate. That concludes the demonstration. If you get stuck, you can refer to our written quick start guide. It has detailed information and pictures showing how to use the flow meter. Additionally, in the back, there is also a troubleshooting section with some tips and frequently asked questions which may prove helpful.